Got a good question, by the way.
I've started it, mate, so go on.
Oh, welcome to the third episode. I seem to be doing the intros
No,
every single time now.
mate, you just said I got a good question, so go ahead.
We're not...
Ready to do an intro. This is casual.
Okay, casual. Okay, first question then. We are starting, no intro needed. Are we going to drop names on this, or do you want to just keep them anonymous?
We're going
for
straight
now?
into the question, because I was going to ask you how your day's been.
Well, I started saying... Finn started the recording early. Right, my day's been fine. Thanks for asking. I had the cryotherapy thingy. It was my nipples have never been so cold. As said to Aaron, so the guy who provided the facility, I said to him, if I closed my eyes, I probably could have got turned on slightly from my nipples being that sensitive. But hey ho, it was probably a bit inappropriate. Me and him in a very small box, or near each other in a small box.
Well, he wasn't
I'd
in
probably
there,
like
was
to. He said that two people could fit in there, so I said that you should go in.
I don't think we'd
So
go
I said,
mate. Too big.
Too big, yeah, maybe. But no, other than that, day has been fantastic. What about yourself, mate? All good?
Yeah, good, mate. Busy one. It's been mental. I think it's just because everyone's back in the gym. It's like form videos has quadrupled in the last day. Like, it's been a bit of a joke, but it's been good. Like, it's nice to see everyone back in the gym and get back to the clips. But obviously, it's like just been hectic. But yeah, other than that, sound. Obviously, I've just been physio after you. I don't even find it cold on my nipples. I think I must have something wrong with my nipples. I just get like my triceps are absolutely freezing. But it was better that time. It was a lot more manageable the second time. The first time, towards the end, I was like, get me out. This time I was like, sound. And it didn't even start for the first like 30 to 45 seconds. So I was in there for nearly 4 minutes.
Ooh, yeah.
It was fine this time. I think the first time, because I didn't know what to expect, I was a bit, towards the end, I was like, oh shit. Like, I was like, I want to get out. But this time I was fine.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I couldn't have done another minute. I didn't think it was that bad, but it was like getting to the point where like I was looking down on my legs, and like my hairs on my legs, they had like little icicles on. I was like,
mate, like you can see all the ice in the air and that. Did you feel like when I breathe in through my nose, I can feel it all in my nose hairs? Yeah,
I had a mask on. He told me I had to have a mask on.
I did, but still. What, did you just not breathe then for 3 minutes just because you got a mask on?
Just didn't breathe, 3 minutes, holding my breath,
Is that how these masks work?
Yeah,
literally.
I've
been doing it wrong this whole time.
Yeah, you've been breathing, mate. No wonder you gave me COVID.
Spreading it.
No wonder you gave me COVID. That's the reason why I had it, because of you. You came here and you gave me it.
I thought that I didn't know the masks were to prevent us from breathing completely. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, nah. At least we got that cleared out of the way. However, what we'll do now is we'll actually go into almost the introduction, even though we've already done the intro. So, in this, we're going to go through a few questions, and I say that sparingly because I put up a questions box and legitimately got asked 3 questions, and 1 was taking the piss, and 2 were actually okay. But other than that,
we'll use the previous ones and we'll just work through them.
Yeah.
I think. Well, if you want to go through those ones, feel free.
Yeah, no, we can do if you want. Yeah, well, we've got to almost make the decision right this second.
Go on then, you go first. Do yours, and then we'll work through the previous ones that I've got.
Okay, perfect. You might have to. Oh no, I found it. Okay, so like I said, are we name dropping? Are we telling the names, or we'll just keep them anonymous for now?
Depends.
Okay, so Adam Zer Life at Adam Zer Life has asked, this might be a pain for you to answer, so prepare, mate. It could be painful, this, but I'll try my best to explain. So I have a smartwatch on, and every day it tells me how many, and then in little brackets, active calories I've burnt of either walking around, etc. Of course, we know that.
Mate, how on earth are you getting questions this long?
Yeah, he sent it on a DM.
Oh,
and then he goes,
we don't accept that type of question.
Yeah, I know, but like, could you put it in the box, please?
This is too mentally challenging.
Yeah, literally, that's what it is. And then he goes, as we know that smartwatches are accurate, how could we consistently track them? And could we add this onto the food that we're supposed to eat? Thank you. Perfect. Well, because you said thank you, we'll get back to you. If you didn't, we won't get back to you.
We know that you said thank you, so we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Now we know that that you said thank you. So yeah, pretty much. Do you want to take this one? Do you want to start it?
It was a bit long. I lost it. I don't have I don't have that long attention span.
This is why they need to be put in the question box.
They do. I need it in the box. I can't have it longer than the box. I can't read that long paragraph. I don't really know that. You can go over it again because I didn't grasp the whole question properly. But what I would say is, like, whenever I get this asked by clients or in questions, why are you too, like, you shouldn't be too concerned about that. You know, I'll get clients tag me in stuff and like, oh, I burned 400 calories when I was training. And I'll literally say to them, like, great, but that's not the goal. Like, I couldn't care less about exactly how many calories you're burning when you're training. And I don't think you should ever think, oh, I burnt this amount, so I'm going to eat this amount more. I know he said something like that in it. So
yeah,
I've had that before as well. People have asked me like, oh, mate, I don't understand like my total, basically my total calorie output, my total energy expenditure. I don't know what it's made up from. And if I do a bit more cardio, does it mean I should eat more for my maintenance? And I basically would just say, like, track your average of your expenditure. Obviously, yeah, the smartwatch might not be 100% accurate, but it will be reliable against itself if you're measuring on that same data point each time. You're using the same thing. It'll be reliable against itself. Take your average expenditure data, so like literally your steps and your cardio, have that as your sort of, if you can track that week by week and keep it relatively similar, that is your energy output. Obviously not including like your basal metabolic rate and thermic effect of food, but the energy output that you're aware of basically. So that can be just what you can manipulate for your energy in, that in terms of food. So then if you were to be, let's say, wanting to be in a slight surplus, eat a bit more or drop the cardio or the steps, or vice versa if you want to be in a deficit. So yeah, did I answer that to a decent extent?
Like, I was thinking I was going to add in some things and put like a bit of an additional comments, but I'm not. So I'll read out the second part of the question that he sent over that I'm definitely not making up on the spot. So he then said, and also I'm having a few inconsistencies. I'm having my Apple Watch on my right wrist, and I potentially am doing some certain masturbational tendencies per day, and it's giving me inconsistent steps. What should I do?
Classic steps. It's
what, don't do?
No, yeah, just class it as your steps because it's probably more physically demanding than when you're out on a walk. So class it as steps. I don't think it does that, to be honest.
You don't think?
I don't think it does.
Sometimes I'll get out of bed and I'll have like 1,000 steps. I'm like, I haven't even moved today.
What have you been doing though?
Nothing. What do you reckon? But no, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, Finn answered that perfectly well.
Did I? Because I don't know the question.
No. I completely agree. I don't really think there's much.
Yeah,
I think
just the question
against itself.
I missed a bit of the question at the beginning. That's all.
Yeah, no, you got it spot on, to be fair. I'd say if you're comparing it itself to the data from today to data from yesterday, so if you're comparing the calories burnt per day, per week, it's going to be a consistent variable. I compare it similar, and this is almost like it's a bit of I'm taking it onto a bit of a tangent, but like, you know, when people used to do those body fat scanners at like at horrendous leisure centres and pure gyms.
You mean when I measured in at 3% body fat?
Mate, I've got lower than that. I've been lower than that on those. Like, I remember I didn't drink water for like 6 hours, had a horrendous workout, but I was like 1.2% body fat, bro.
It tells you not to, doesn't it? It says don't drink water for like the last hour or whatever.
Yeah, and like, so it's like those. Like, if you're tracking it on the same time, exact same like setting, everything, it's going to give you. It's not going to give you an actual appropriate reading, but to be compared against each other, spot on. And then I always get annoyed with the calories. The increased amount of calories if you've done more activity or steps. Like, that's not the goal. You know, I'd be asking if you're in a deficit and you're tracking all the variables that you need to track. If you're going over, why? If you are, you shouldn't be like,
if like, I'll have that often, like obviously if a client can't fully control like their expenditure because of work, then I will just say, right, on days that you can control it, we'll have lower steps. So often I'll have clients on like a weekly average versus a training day and on training day.
Yeah, I've got a few clients. Weirdly enough, on my Sunday check-ins, I had like 5 out of like, I think like the 10 that I had, and they all started rugby.
All right, you don't need to drop how many clients you've got. No one cares.
No one cares. All right, mate. Well, that's literally all my clients. So 50% of my clients literally said to me, "Oh, Reece, I'm starting back. I'm playing rugby," and I had a few of them in different phases, and a few were like towards the end of a phase. And like I said to them, "We'll just leave it the same. We'll leave food the same. We'll leave everything the same." And then basically we put in. So I almost have on their sheets now. Like, I have like a training day, I have a non-training day, and then like I have a rugby like non-training day, shall we say? where
Did
it's
you
just the extra
did you
carbs.
tell them to just leave it as it is because you couldn't be asked to do any work?
I was going through their check-ins, and I was just like, I heard them all say it, and I was like, oh, lads,
No
just
changes.
save it till next
See you
week.
next week.
Literally, the check-in, as we said to you before, the 2-minute check-ins from the best coaches in the game. Hey, mate, really good photos, good retraining, nutrition's been spot on.
Good luck
Anyway,
to you.
appreciate the check-in. Yeah, see you later, mate. See you next week.
I was going to say, the reason that we're joking about this is because that isn't what we do. I'm not saying that because that is what we do. I don't want people going like, oh my God, really? They don't care, and they just go, see you next week. People will take it literally.
Oh, yeah. People will hear that, and they'll go, like, if I go on my screencast now, I've got one recording of 6 seconds, and it's hilarious if I name that incorrectly, because I could be like, this is someone's check-in, 6-second check-in today.
Right, do you want to do another one?
Go for it. Is this off the once you're in page, or is this your Instagram?
Now you can go again. Might as well go through the ones you got.
Mate, you go through yours. I'll get them up. Like I said, I'll have to get them up. You go through yours.
I've got to get mine up as well. I'll go through the screenshot I've got.
Okay, I'll go through some. I'll just chat then. Right. So we do appreciate all the mentions, guys. I was going to give like a mention to the story. People
shout out to the followers. Shout out to the listeners.
Yeah, shout out to every single people. Every single people. I've ruined it, mate. Carry on.
That's how you speak.
Yeah, I know. I struggle at times. I literally have a script out.
Is that it? Is that our shout out? That was good.
I fucked it. I wasn't going to say it. I stopped. I'm not saying
shout out to all the peoples, and we'll move on.
Shout out to all the peoples that have tagged us in stories.
It is good, actually. I appreciate it. It's quite nice, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely it shows that people clearly care about me and you chatting on a Tuesday evening.
Right, I'm doing a question now.
Okay, go for it.
To be fair, this was when I said I was going to rinse them then, but I remembered that I actually said topics or things you want us to cover. This wasn't get your questions in. Okay, this was before. So someone put Tianan Quinn, strength/resistance profiles.
Just that.
Yeah, but obviously, like I said, I didn't say ask questions. I was going to rinse them then, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Fair enough.
Strength/resistance profiles, go.
Okay, fantastic question. So
it wasn't a question; it's a topic to cover.
Okay,
and
so
try not to make it too long because we could do a whole episode on this. Because we're so well knowledgeable on bands and resistance profiles.
Yeah, exactly. I am as well. Food for thought. I got told off a story, didn't I?
I said we. I said we're. Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, so am I. It's a bit of a tricky one because it's not really given us too much to go into. And I feel like I've said this before, but it would actually be quite a good subsection of one of the podcasts in the future to go down.
Yeah, we could do an episode.
And it would be mint if we had like a section, we did timestamps and we had like chess.
Not getting on at me about the timestamps.
Yeah, Finn didn't do the timestamps.
I'm not doing the timestamps. I'll do them when I get a chance.
Mate, shocking.
I don't know. Shocking. I don't know how to do timestamps. I'll have to check.
You upload this on your channel, so you're the one who gets the views. I get absolutely nothing other than lost time out of this.
You wouldn't get any views on your channel anyway. No one knows you've got YouTube.
Mate, I have more subscribers than you.
Yeah, but you never use it.
Yeah, but I have more subscribers than you, so I would.
That's irrelevant. You have more subscribers than me because you did a video when you were 12 and it went viral.
No, I was 14 and I was naked, all right? Fucking get it right, mate. I was 14. It wasn't that bad. But
come
anyway. On. Yeah, moving on. So I think it's one that we could break down. So obviously we have, if we think about it from a strength perspective, so a muscle perspective, that's horrendous terminology, muscle perspective. But if we break it down, there's going to be certain profiles of a muscle that's going to be stronger in certain areas. So the lat, for example, is probably the easiest one to go off because if I'm honest, I reckon most 17-year-olds who've trained for about a year would know it. But in reality, getting a lat short, you get weaker in the length and range. So if your arm's extended, lat stretched, you're going to be a bit stronger. So therefore, if you're going to be doing a specific muscle group, or if you're going to be doing that muscle group, you'd want to usually tax the position that we're going to be weaker in. And then you'd want to almost work into the length and range as you get deeper. Now, this doesn't really apply to every single muscle group. There's going to be a fair few inconsistencies. But in general, there's going to be a strength profile of a potential muscle. And therefore, you'd want to match match it with a resistance profile of said machine. It's the reason why if we were to band a certain movement, so you see a lot of people reverse banding a hack squat. So for example, if you imagine the hack squat, like Cybex hack is ridiculously heavy at the bottom, it makes sense to potentially band it. And therefore, it's going to make it easier in the bottom position where we're going to be in a position where we're weaker. But in reality, it's going to be one of those movements where it kind of suits the profile slightly better. And therefore, you see people reverse banding certain movements. Likewise, if you have access to a prime kit, you can almost kind of manipulate the profile through making alterations to the pin. And that is a general synopsis of resistance profiles and strength profiles. Finn, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I would say before that, like, a strength profile is in relation to you as an individual and the muscle, and the resistance profile is the machine. So obviously, like you said, but people sometimes get those sort of mixed up and don't really understand. So the strength profile would be, like we said, in a given muscle where it is stronger and where it is weaker, and then on the resistance profile would be on a given machine or a given movement pattern where it is heavier and where it is lighter. And then likewise, you're trying to match those up. So where you're stronger, you want to be matching that up with where sort of you can add more load. And likewise, you want to almost let the load drop off in positions where you're weaker. So if you imagine you're just trying to rinse everything out of a movement, you want to get the most out of it when you're strong, but also you don't want to then die out when you're weak. So you might see a lot of the time people will just fail in a movement when it maybe doesn't look like they should fail. And that might often be down to the fact that the resistance profile and the strength profile isn't quite matching up. Often on like a pendulum that we used to use in Progress Works, the Cutler pendulum, it was like insanely heavy in the middle.
Cutler's pendulum.
Jay Cutler made it with his own two hands. It's a limited edition Jay Cutler pendulum. He does hip thrust as well. I've got a few people programmed on his hip thrust as well. So it was stupidly heavy in the middle, wasn't it? Like ridiculous to the point where your quads felt like they were nowhere near failure, but you just died. There was nothing left. Yeah. So it's got a counterbalance where you could weigh it down, weigh it on the front as well as like a counterweight, and that would actually help in terms of the mid-range. So it was still really challenging. It was really challenging at the bottom, but as you drive up, it sort of dropped off a little bit as the load went sort of closer towards the axis point. And that actually made it a hell of a lot easier in terms of driving through that mid-range. It didn't make the movement easier as such. It made it just better, didn't it? Because we could actually take the quads to failure. So often people will think it's a cop-out putting bands on machines or manipulating the resistance profile. But more often than not, if you're doing it correctly, it's not a cop-out. It's actually trying to, you're working to get as much out of the movement as possible. So like yesterday is a prime example. The Atlantis hack does not need a reverse band. If you're looking at the angle of the machine, if you're looking at, in general, most people will say they're reversing it because of their knees. My knees at the minute aren't great, but the reason I reverse banded it yesterday was not because of my knees. My knees were sound. It was because I was losing complete tightness in the bottom, and I felt like I could do like a lot less load with basically still having enough in my quads, just dying at the bottom. So there's warrant to saying, oh, you just need to get stronger in the bottom. Yeah, definitely. But also then you could just say, well, should I use 2-3 plates less and feel like I've got loads more in my quads and still die out at the bottom? I'd just be working at higher reps. I still wouldn't feel like I've sort of fatigued my quads through their full contractile range, which should be the focus on everything that we do. So yeah, I think, that's a good sort of summary on it. But we could always do like an episode on it because it is quite technical, and even getting into the fact that the strength profile isn't going to stay the same throughout a whole set. As the muscle fatigues, it's going to change within a set, and we could get onto that. But I think we'll leave it there, mate, because we'll end up going on about it for ages.
Agreed. Yeah, I would say as a finishing topic, like it's one of those where, and this is literally a sentence and we'll end it. I think it's important to note, and I think from a programming standpoint, it's imperative to a certain degree, but the vast majority of people should just focus on getting strong. And if you notice that it's a limiting factor, then you should address it. But I wouldn't go in, if you're pressing and you're on a low incline Smith and you're doing 20 kilos per side, I wouldn't be thinking, I need a reverse band. I need to reverse band this. I need to have this as a second movement. I need to reverse band it as a first movement. I'd say you're not strong enough. You probably need more muscle. Therefore, just focus on getting strong.
I agree with that. I think it is sort of a topic that's over analysed and thought about way too much. Just focus on being accurate and getting strong. And then if you get to a point where you feel like you understand it enough and you think your training could benefit from manipulating them, then yeah.
Right. Cool. Next question, sir.
You?
Nah, you, mate. I can't find it. It was a DM. I couldn't find it.
Mate, you didn't get one, did you?
Mate, I can go on the questions now if you want to show the YouTube. I literally said I got 3. I got 2 to a DM and then 1 on the actual question box. So just carry on.
This is from Niall. Shout out, Big Niall.
Oh, here we go.
The secret to Reece's year-round tan. And I know the
Ooh.
secret, but I know you won't tell it because you're in denial.
No. Well, it's not fake tan.
All right, it's not fake tan.
It's not fake tan. Like,
It's not fake
Finn,
tan.
are you saying it? Finn, are you saying it's fake tan?
No, it's not fake tan.
It's not fake tan, is it?
No, apparently not.
No, it's not fucking fake tan, mate. Don't say it is. I've never fake tanned in my entire life.
It's tinted moisturizer.
It's tinted moisturizer. It's like a naturally occurring.
What, does it just turn up on your body? Naturally occurring.
No.
It
It comes out.
Straight on.
It comes out. It's like, you know, the Hulk. Like, it's always there, but it slowly comes out of you. That's what tinted moisturizer is like. You put it in you, and it just slowly.
Put it in you?
Like, yeah, like on it, and it goes into your skin, doesn't it? And it comes out. So tinted moisturizer. If I'm honest, when I'm like lean, it's quite a rigorous routine. It's usually like 2 to 3 times per week. So the administration dose is quite high as well. But this is something that, as I probably get fatter, and I'm not saying I care about my appearance, but I don't really. I do it like once a week. I'm similar to you. You got Shannon to do yours, didn't you? Usually
in like the first lockdown, yeah. As you can see now, I'm very pale. I think this lighting's making it maybe even worse. I look yellow.
Yeah.
I haven't been. I need to go on this. I was going on the sunbed today, but with my current massive workload at Reece Fit, Reece Fit et al. 2020, with my current massive workload, I just
2021, mate. By the way,
you might have said it last year.
Yeah, I might have. So yeah. So sunbed usually 1 to 2 times per week. I'm lucky in the sense I have access to a sunbed due to me owning a sunbed. So a sunbed is in, usually rest days. If I was at the office, it's at my mother's office. I usually do work there in the evenings. I'll hop on it in between. I've actually been having my like meal 4 on the sunbed, which it works quite well because it's 15 minutes and I can just stand there and eat. And I prop my phone up, have a YouTube video on it. It's fantastic, to be fair.
What do you watch on YouTube?
Once you're in, you're in. I just rewatch, and I just watch myself. I just critically analyse my own performance. I'm like, I could have been a bit funniyer here.
Make some notes.
Yeah, like, Finn stuttered again 2 minutes in. Finn, stop fucking stuttering.
I don't think I stutter,
mate. So yeah, secret to the year-round tan. A few administration doses of, I think it's Dove tinted moisturizer, and then 1 to 2 sunbeds per week. But if I'm honest, it's very inconsistent.
Sometimes very orange as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes it looks good, and sometimes it looks horrendous. Horrendous. I look at myself. Orange. Yeah, no. It's not too orange, but
I think it's more. It comes across a lot more orange on Instagram because I think like if you have a filter on, it comes a lot more orange.
Agreed.
You need to stop putting 100 structure on your photos, mate.
Structure doesn't make any.
Is it saturation?
It's saturation or contrast. Yeah.
Oh, is it? You got it.
I'd look shredded on structure on 100. 100 right now.
Anyone would look shredded on structure on 100.
To be fair, actually, I take it back. I don't think I would.
You look lean.
I think I'd look like I'm not. I probably look maybe 30 weeks out with 100 structure currently.
Well, aren't you like 30 weeks out now?
No, I'm
less than that.
Less.
Start dicing then, mate.
Clen's going in week 1, mate. Clen, you're him buying 175 carbon on training days. That's what it's going to be.
Right, do you want me to do another one?
Go for it, mate.
I can't ask the 2 that you asked. I can't ask the 2 that you asked, can I? It's not appropriate for the podcast.
You can't. Say what you want.
You asked 2 questions.
Yeah, I did ask 2 questions. Yeah, I think we should skip past those. Maybe an episode in the future. Hey, up, you know.
Well, to be fair, one of my clients, Wayne. He again, this wasn't a questions thing. He just put, I'd like to be a fly on the wall to see rest period / nutrition / fluid / music / chat / intensity / warm-ups. I mean, that's not something we can really go into as a question, but we will definitely, we've said this ourselves, haven't we, that we want to get like mic'd up for a session and just put like a full session on YouTube, not like staged going into we're doing this because this, but just literally what we chat about normally and have that as a video.
And also, like, with those kind of questions, like, I know he's one of your clients, so I say this with the utmost respect, but like,
it wasn't
feel
a
free
question.
to. No, oh yeah, but his statement or whatever, what he wants to see, like, you know, if he really wanted the best experience, couldn't he just come to the gym and just stay 3 machines away from us and just watch? Does he have to introduce himself? It'll be so natural. Yeah,
No,
he'll just be looking you through.
We'd get him in the session. It'd be good.
Yeah. Imagine we're at like we're Ultraflex Rotherham. We're on the side, the prime leg extension, and he's looking through the leg presses from the urinals, just like sneakily, like, oh, there they are. I wonder what they're talking about. I wonder what they're doing now.
It's really not that interesting. Like, you'd probably be very bored. Most of the time, it's like, you ready? Yeah. Then you do the set. Good set, man. Come and spot me in a minute. Because we're never doing the same thing.
Yeah, we get off and we're like, oh, knee's fucked. Back's fucked.
How'd it feel? Yeah,
like
sound.
Yeah, that feel good. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
I think like this. Maybe we come across like we're like, mate,
so
set,
energetic.
You've got to put absolutely everything into this set. If you don't put everything, what are you thinking about emotionally pre-set?
Mate, I'm thinking about my delts on stage. Like, I'm literally like, Finn, tell me my delts are going to be shit on stage. And I start crying and I'm like, okay. And I just start crying on some lateral raises. Triple, quadruple drops.
I'm there going, think about your delts. Shit. Think about those delts.
And then the worst thing is I'm going to actually screen record the part on the video and put it on my story.
And go, oh my God, I'm just so motivated about thinking about these shit delts.
Yeah, just think about my horrendous rear delts. It's only my rears.
And I'll be going first place, bro.
Yeah, that's it. First place or nothing. What we doing here, bro? Oh, fucking hell.
Now, to be honest, like that, in all seriousness, we'll do that. We'll do. Yeah. At some point, we'll get Joe to come and film, and we'll get like road mics, get mic'd up, and just have a session. And even if it's like 2 or whatever hours, like 2 hours, we'd have to crop it because it'd be like a 4-hour video. We'd have to crop it down, but we could do that.
You know what would be a shout? Twitch live stream. You could live stream it,
or you could do like a live IGTV, couldn't you? I mean, we'd get like 1 viewer though. It'd be Wayne.
Yeah, it would be literally Wayne. He'd be so interested.
If it's worth
like,
it,
I'm loving
just Wayne. Then we'll do it.
Just to be a fly on the wall. He'd be loving it.
He would. Right. Go and find. Have you got another question?
Mate, just go through yours.
How long have we been on?
Don't know. Just keep going, mate. We'll be fine. We'll end it when we get bored.
Okay. Your way of programming, gaining / mini cut, and expectations for your current off season. This is from a guy who's actually applied today, so appreciate the question / topic of interest, mate. So your way of programming, mate. It says gaining / mini cut, so I'm assuming that he's maybe asking
how to program a mini cut or a gaining phase.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe he's asking: is there any changes in terms of gym programming when you go through a mini cut versus a gaining phase?
No.
Do you not do high reps to try and tone the muscle?
Oh, mate, I was just about to go into that. Literally, I prescribe quintuple drop sets. I go onto Jeremy Buendia's Instagram page and I just take the exercises.
Just tag him in it and say, do this.
Yeah, and I'm like, do this. This is your program. I send it over on WhatsApp. They get 1 weekly WhatsApp per week. And then they're like, yo, Reece, I've worked out you've given me 47 sets to failure today. And I'm like, yeah.
You say, yeah, good check-in, see you next week.
Good check-in, bro. Good check-in. See you next Monday, mate. Catch you later. But no, so...
Any questions, just let me know. They ask you loads of questions and you're just like, yeah, cheers, see ya. See you next week. Any questions again, just let me know.
See you next week on your check-in day. But no, so from a training standpoint, I think we can both agree in a mini cut or a gaining phase. There's, like, competition prep, I think, is different. Drop to baseline volume. Unless fatigue's too high, you wouldn't want to make any changes from a training standpoint. I think potentially it depends on the severity and the amount of weight you're going to lose from the mini cut. So, like, I would class a mini cut for myself a lot more than somebody probably would class maybe just like they class what I lose on a mini cut as like quite a drastic cut. So I would say towards the latter end, I was swapping out a few exercises that just had a bit more stability. So I was taking out like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like I was probably doing free weight barbell presses or dumbbell presses. And I put in like a low incline Smith machine instead of like a low incline dumbbell press instead, because there's more stability. But in reality, training stays relatively the same.
Yeah, I agree. I even think, like you said, with a mini cut, even towards the end, if you can still maintain some of those movements that require stability, like for the most part, you probably can, depending on, like you say, how lean you're going to get. In regard, do you want to go into how you would program a mini cut in regards to nutrition, or do you want me to go into it?
I'll touch on it quickly, and then I'll let you go and take the rest. So I don't want to sound like your generic Instagram coach who says it's
Get in
so
and get
individual.
Out.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the typical. What's the goal of a mini cut? The goal is to get in and get out and get growing again.
No, yeah. So
that's what everyone says.
Yeah, I know, but then they also say, well, I don't know too much about the appropriate context behind.
Yeah, that's true a lot of the time.
Yeah, so I would just go on that. It's impossible for me to say as a rule of thumb, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to focus on. It's very person dependent. If I was to have a client who came to me instantly and they were like, I want to do a tidy up, I want to do a mini cut, and they had no data of their food, no data of their expenditure, it would usually take a good week or two to even establish the variables into play to the point where you could probably make appropriate decisions. I mean, if you've been working with someone for a fair amount of time, or if you know what you've been consuming, I think it's a lot easier. I would always say, and again, what Finn mentioned, you would not want to be spending a long amount of time, especially considering in this period training's not going to be poor, but it's definitely going to be suboptimal in the sense of just overall progression that you're going to have in a surplus. And one thing I would also say, and this is something that I get a lot of people say to me, is why do you really need to pull back? Like, do you need to pull back from a biofeedback standpoint? Is your digestion poor? Are you really overweight? Like, the vast majority of people could just look at it and say, right, if I get lean now, am I going to have enough muscle to look good when I'm lean? The answer most of the time is no. So unless you have like a long-term projection of where you want to be and you need to get lean so you can then go into a better gaining phase, the usual outcome is a gaining phase. So it would say, right, just focus on getting strong, focus on progressing your lifts, and you're going to be doing that in a better standpoint when you're in a surplus. So when it comes to setting up a mini cut, I'll let Finn carry on, but pretty much it's quite person dependent, and I definitely would always try and say be in and out as quick as you can, bro.
Yeah, I think, like you said, that the underlying goal, like, unless it's for whatever reason, like that it's not, but 99.9% of the time, the goal is always more muscle. So, like you said, for the most part, like, if you can stay away from mini cuts, then I would, because more often than not, it's just a time spent where you could be really, growing and pursuing further sort of progress in the gaining phase. The only time I really recommend mini cuts is when the gaining phase has come to a point where it's not beneficial anymore. So, for example, if you're in like a point where appetite is horrendous, you're feeling sluggish, generally you're not feeling like you're actually getting any sort of performance benefit, like you're having sort of unnecessary body weight gain, unnecessary fat, that's not progressive, or let's say it's not going to actually aid in terms of training progression. That is when I would be like, right, let's sort of say we'll have a mini cut. But in regards to like how I would set it up, like you say, it's very dependent on the person. I would have obviously for a client, I'd have all of their previous data. So I'd be able to see where we need to drop food to in order to start seeing a decent amount of fat loss. But I would say don't be on the sort of tentative side. Just drop a decent amount straight away so you can get in and get out as quick as possible. But like, even to the point where if like some clients that, you push them up to 4,000, 5,000 calories, like I would literally drop them by 500 to 1,000 calories straight away, and probably keep expenditure the same, and obviously keep training performance the same. If anything, for the most part in mini cuts, training performance will still improve because you'll actually feel more energetic because you're not force feeding yourself with so much food. But yeah, like you say, you can't say exactly how many calories to drop, because some people might be trying to mini cut when they're only on 2,000 calories. If you are that person, then don't mini cut. Train harder and get growing.
So you're not going to provide the listeners with an exact percentage?
No, mate, I'm not.
Mate, as your coach, I'm disappointed.
Mate,
I
as
thought I would
your
have taught you better
coach,
at this point.
as your
Yeah, I
coach,
thought I would have taught you better at
I'm
this
your
point.
coach.
But I think the initial drop, if I'm honest, is the easiest. So the initial changes, but it's what's following that is usually the hard part, because what I've found with a few people is like you'll work their food up, you'll drop like food by quite a drastic amount, and you get like an initial like, very good response. Like let's say if you're 90 kilos, you might lose 3-4 kilos in the first maybe 2 weeks, and you're thinking, oh, we're ahead of the game, we only need to drop maybe another 3 or 4, and then it almost kind of like plateaus and we almost have to sit there, and it's almost where you're waiting for a change, but you're not wanting to say, right, let's put this in, let's put that in. But in reality, I feel like if you've got 8 weeks, 10 weeks, you don't want to be slowing down at all. So if you get an initial drop, wicked, make the most of it, then make another change. Like you don't need to be thinking, right, I want to be getting away with the least. You want to be thinking, let's get finished with this, and therefore let's make some changes. Let's drop food.
I'd like take a bit of more of an aggressive approach. Like when it's like a normal diet for a client, like let's say it's just a reset phase at the beginning of coaching, or if it is a fat loss client and the primary goal is fat loss, then you'd be more aggressive with it, and you make sure that it's adherable and sustainable basically over that phase to get the fat off. But in a mini cut, it doesn't need to be sustainable, like because you're just trying to get it done. So I'm quite aggressive sometimes with it, and if I don't see a change, I'm like, right, let's do this, because it's only going to be another 2-3 weeks, and then we're back out the other side of it anyway.
Yeah. And also because Finn doesn't talk to his clients after his check-ins, even
monthly
if like,
check-ins, so I have to make big changes.
Yeah, he has to make massive changes because they'll message him 4 days after saying, Finn, I'm up 3 kilos. Is there any chance we can do anything? And he just won't reply to the check-in day.
You can't message me in the week. What do you think you're doing?
Excuse me, I have you saved down as Tuesday A, and they're like, Tuesday A? And like, yeah, you're not allowed to talk to me till Tuesday. That's it.
Imagine. I feel like I hope people don't take this seriously. If anyone does, speak to any of my clients, and they'll tell you that is the case. They'll tell you it's bi-monthly. It's every other month.
Yeah, and only speak to the 6 people he coaches.
Yeah,
that's the important thing.
Right, mate. Have you got a question or not?
No, stop asking me. I lied. I can't find the DM. I had a look. Mate, the only question that came through on there was...
You said you've got 3 questions, and you asked me one.
And I answered one, and I couldn't find the second.
It's poor. I mean, you just have to go to the questions box.
I only have... I told you, it was the better camera. I got told by a guy to... Well, actually, I'll ask... So here we go. Reece, he directly asked me by my name, please buy a new camera. So we have added a zoom light, so it's a bit brighter.
They're not called zoom lights, mate.
Yeah, but that's what you type in on Amazon to get them. It's 15 quid and it's so inconsistent.
Ring light?
It's not a ring light, mate. It's like a box. It's big. Yeah, it's pretty poor, if I'm honest. I plug it into my Mac and it's not great.
Right. Is it that seasonal affective disorder one?
Nah. That's my Lumi light. That's by my side. Yeah. I quite like that in the morning. So
that'd make it better, wouldn't it? That'd make the light.
Yeah, but mate, it's way too bright. Like if I was to pull this up, if I, like that. Oh, look at that! Lovely,
loads
fantastic.
Better. Yeah, if you put that behind the video.
Maybe actually. Yeah, I'll play around with it. And then everyone watching this can, if they have seasonal affective disorder,
they'll feel great after.
They'll feel great. They'll be like, I listened to one.
Not only from the laughs, but from the sad lamp as well.
Yeah, I just feel amazing. I just feel so motivated now. That's what they're going to do. So motivated in every aspect. Right, we got any more questions or?
Should we make this the last one? Because I don't want it to be a really long episode. I don't know how long we've been on. We need to start timing when we came on.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know why it doesn't show you the time on Zoom. Like it should show you like a time, but it doesn't. Right. This is from the one and only Sanaya Fitness or Sania or Sania or Shane. This is from Shane.
It's come from Shane Fitness. Here we go. Let's hear it.
A full explanation from Reece Fit as to why he doesn't hit full range of motion on his presses, please. And I think what we're all wanting to know, mate, is that question. Fantastic question.
Listener. Yeah, every single listener. Every single listener wants
That's all that they're tuned in for. So don't answer, actually, because we won't get any listens after this.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, oh, that's it. I just feel fulfilled with my life. I'm motivated after seeing the Lumi light. I feel motivated after knowing that when they talk in between their sets, they're talking about how shit their rear delts are and how shit their delts are. I'm like, come on, think about that stage shot of that most muscular, or that front relaxed, or for me, that like
That quarter
pirouette where
turn,
you do,
that's all that
where
you've
you do
got.
the little, where you
Think
stir
about that other
something.
quarter turn and that other one
Yeah.
and that next quarter turn.
And then think about the wave to the judges when you walk onto the stage. Oh God, really practice that flamboyant wave, that hello. That's what it's going to be. Anyway, so absolutely fantastic question. I think the person in question, or the person asking the question, demonstrates an absolutely fantastic high incline reverse band. I think me and Finn have both said that this is probably the best reverse band we've ever seen when it comes to how it's banded, the profile. We pretty much could have just touched on the high incline reverse band when we were talking about strength profiles. It's absolutely immaculate. I mean, it's a 50 kilo green band, and I'm pretty sure it's less than 50 kilos worth of load. So at the bottom, it becomes a lat pull down, and it's almost a sense of working like an antagonistic and agonistic muscle pair.
It's a good
in the same pathway.
in the set. It's like a super intraset.
Yeah, super intraset. So you're doing a press towards the top end, where at the start we're going to be strong, and then we're doing a pull down in the short end to begin. Mate, as a first movement, that's a fantastic hybrid.
Good biomechanics.
Yeah, fantastic. Shorten for both. Literally, profile of it immaculate.
Anyway, you're going to answer the question. You're trying to dodge it.
I gave a good response on my Instagram. I don't feel like I can really repeat it.
You want me to give it for you?
No, so I'll just I'll put it simply. So it's just a sense of my overall mechanics and choosing what really fits me. The higher the incline of a bench is going to go, I will always go to some 90-degree parallel. And Finn will probably laugh, but I actually will. And it stays very consistent. It's just a sense of the higher the bench goes. I have quite long arms in a sense, and I literally just go to the point where it's 90 degrees. I usually feel it because my left elbow clicks every single time. So I just go to the point my left elbow clicks. That's 90 degrees. It's pretty perfect in that sense. And then I just initiate the push. It's a sense where if I was to actually do a full range press, I would have to rotate my shoulders to the point where it would feel ridiculously uncomfortable. I've had multiple shoulder niggles, and I'm not going to say that's from doing full range or from, because it was literally doing other activities. And it's just a sense of saying, right, I work in an active range. Would I get more stimulus if I went for a greater range of motion? Yes. But would it be safer for me? No. Would it be appropriate to the load? Again, I don't really think there'd be much of a variance. During the first lockdown, I flat benched 140 for 8, tapping my chest. During this lockdown, I flat pressed a first rotation, I think of a low incline. I think it was like a 140 for 6, and I wasn't touching my chest. So it's not where I'm like actively choosing not to do full range of motion because I'm thinking, I need to get more load. I need to just progress my ego in that sense. It's literally a sense of saying my form stays consistent on a week-to-week basis, and therefore it's pretty much just a consistent variable. I go to the same point. And we also have to understand it's lifting weights from A to B, and what fits you is not going to fit everybody. And I don't like that definition of saying this doesn't fit me, therefore I'm allowed to do it. But at the same time, like if I'm doing it from a bodybuilding standpoint, which I am, why would I not want to do something that's optimal for me? Pretty simple. And there's going to be different tendencies. If I had access to kit, it would be different. And people see a barbell, they see the bar not touching your chest, and they instantly are married to this opinion that you have to touch your chest. And if that's going to cause me shoulder issues, or that's going to be a bit uncomfortable, why would I? There's no benefit. And like I said, I've been in the boat before when I first started training, that if you didn't touch your chest on a flat bench, it didn't count. And I think if you're powerlifting, spot on. But I'm not powerlifting, I'm bodybuilding, and therefore I'll do what works for me. And therefore that's going to be working within a safe and active range where I'm not having to like rotate my shoulders forward to really try and please what people say on social media. So yeah, that's my response. It's the same for Finn in that way. You know, you're pressing in some degrees you would say on certain angles. Mate, your flat press is worse than mine when it comes to range.
You're pressing. My pressing is perfect. You've got Finn there right next to you, performing everything perfectly.
Perfectly. Have you seen his bent rows? Have you seen his flat?
No, yeah, right. So I think one thing you didn't touch on is like full range. For anyone that's listening, I'm doing quotation marks because full range isn't even a thing. That's like saying do something perfectly. Like you can't say that because perfect isn't a thing. Like so, full range on let's say a flat bench, for example, would be to tap your chest. Yeah, but then
And if you're James Hollingshead, and if you're a 60-kilo bloke, do you think the range is going to be different?
That's it for one, but also what about when you do dumbbells? Is the full range
Yeah.
to let the dumbbells just tear your rotator cuff because you have to go as far down as possible before something stops the weight from moving? No.
Touch the
So there's
floor
the
with your
difference
elbows on the
between
bench.
your total full range and your active range. But I also believe a lot of the time people say, oh, I'm working my active range, when they're not. They're just saying that to try and move more load, which you see a lot of the time. I think, everybody's probably been at some point guilty of that. Myself included. Like, I've been like, oh, I'm working my active range, when I could have definitely got a bit more depth and still been working within my active range. But one way that is really useful to actually sort of assess where you should be going to depth-wise on movements would be just to do the movement free weight, like literally with no weight at all, even just standing. So, like, for example, if Reece was to do a high incline, if I was to put Reece in a position where his torso was at an angle of a high incline, and I was to tell him to bring his elbows down and control until it feels uncomfortable, or until it feels like he has to pinch his scapula back, he would probably only come to about 90 degrees, to about here. He wouldn't try and come right down into here, because that's not comfortable and it's not sort of his natural movement. It's different, again, that for everyone with different lever lengths, everybody's going to be slightly different, but that is something that is really important, and something that when I was PTing that I got clients to do all the time, was I'd say, right, just do this movement, and they'd be stood up and they'd be like, what am I doing? And I'd be like, right, we're going to see where your active range is, and I would just get them to bring their elbows back, and I'd say, right, where does it feel like it's bouncing you back? Yeah, so that's a really good indicator of it. When it feels like, for example, on a chest press, like if you were to do this sat down, just bringing your elbows back, when you can feel your body almost fighting against you, wanting to push you back, that's because you're going into your passive range and you're bringing in tendons, ligaments, and auxiliary sort of muscle groups from the pec, for example, on a chest press, that are trying to bounce you into that different position and basically stay within your active range. Same with on a squat. If you were to sit down into a squat under control, where do you feel like you lose control? Where do you feel like you have to bounce out of the bottom? That is your passive range. So that, I think, is really helpful for people to take into their training, and not think that you have to just work to these arbitrary ranges that are not really sort of productive. If anything, they're, like you say, they're sort of kind of old school, maybe bro science to an extent. You have to touch here, you have to do this certain amount of range. And more often than not, it actually means that you're going to get less out of the movement, because people will start to get niggles on, especially like rotator cuff, shoulders a lot of the time. But again, that's not to say skimp out on range. But also, like Reece said, a lot of the time, if you're moving weight from A to B and you can standardize your form, and you're not doing, like, I don't think I've ever watched like one of your presses and gone, you're literally doing like 6 inches of motion. If you were literally doing that, then yeah, it's a bit of a piss take. But if you could, it's finding that almost that middle ground where it feels comfortable for you, you feel you can progress it, you know that you're training the target muscle, you're not putting stimulus anywhere else, and you need to think, right, stop giving a shit what people think on social media and do what feels good for you and your progress.
Exactly. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, there's not really anything else to add on that. Like I said, just touching on what you mentioned towards the end, I think that is true completely. You get a lot, and this isn't me naming names, I can't really be bothered to go down that avenue, but there's a lot of individuals who have this opinion that you have to do X, Y, and Z, and you have to go from one point to another. And I'm like, they're well in their right, everyone's got an opinion. But I think people, like what we said before, when we're training in a garage or in a shed, and it's me and you, and yes, I know we put our sets on Instagram, but that's more from a business standpoint to kind of talk about our training. And then at the same time, it's an accountability. We can look back. You've got an archive. You can always scroll back. You can have a look at what you were training 6 months ago. It'll pop up, and you're like, oh, a year ago I was doing this for a flat bench or whatever. And I feel like there's a certain level where you just have to look at it and say, like, we were training on our own, and we'd finish a set and there was no like, oh my God, that was fantastic, mate. That was so good. Like, we would just go, good set. Or if it was like a new PR, we'd be like, oh, really good stuff. But we didn't really think too much of it. We'd probably ask a question, oh, was the depth okay?
More about the next set, the next time.
Yeah, and it was
more about the week after every time, like what we're going to get next time.
Yeah, and it was literally just a sense of focusing on the progression, focusing on what we're doing, and not thinking like, oh, I wonder if this person across the gym has noticed or something like that. Like, there'll be people that lift and they go off the external factors and reasons. And I think, as you mentioned, not giving a fuck. Like the best both our pressing's been is when we've been doing a flat press, we've been doing 3 to 5 reps of the top set, and we both managed to progress 20-30 kilos, which is ridiculous at our level of training, considering like we probably, if we were to add that every year, we'd be pressing like 180, 200 both of us, which is silly, you know, to think that we're 5, 6, 7 years into training, me a bit more. And we progress at the rate we have over lockdown. Like, it's good, and that's just from keeping things simple and standardizing it and going, right, this is working for us, let's carry on. There's no reason to stop.
It's that standardization of it. If like, for example, our range was getting worse and worse and worse each week, then it needs looking at. And that's the same for anything, in the gym, out the gym, whatever it may be. Like, if you're progressively getting worse just to push up the load, then realistically, are you progressing it? Probably not. But, you know, if that's the case, then that's when you need to reset slightly, you know, by maybe 5-10 kilos, get back to where it needs to be, and then work it back up. But that happens all the time. Like, I'll have that with clients all the time. Sometimes you just get a little bit greedy with progression. You know, if you want it to be perfect, you can add on 0.25 kilos per side every single week, and you'll probably get the same reps and the same range for however many weeks. And don't get me wrong, that's great. But that's also could be a hell of a lot slower than what you could be doing. You know, think how many times like we've chucked a 5 kilo aside on a lift and been able to manage it week after week after week. Like the hack squat, for example, in lockdown. Like, I think I must have put 5 kilos on that per side for like 6 to 8 weeks. Everything stayed the same, and it just kept going up. Like, I maybe made however much progress like that I made. It could have taken me a year to make that progress if I'd have been like, I need to be slower. I need to be really meticulous. I need to make sure that everything's perfect. Like, sometimes you can just overthink it like that, and like that happens all the time. I see that a lot with people, like, I can't chuck 2.5 kilos on because I might lose an inch of range.
Or they got a 7 repper and their rep range was a 5 to 9, and they're like, I need to up it, even though the 7 reps were all controlled, they looked easy. And I completely agree. I think there is a level to it, and you have to look at it and go, like, I almost say, and it's a lack of a better term, but it's like I say to most people, I don't actually mention it like this, but just put it on the podcast, like, go to a point where you're progressing and the weight will tell you to fuck off. Like, there will get to a point where you keep adding 2.5 kilos or 5 kilos and the set will be horrendous, and you'll do it and you'll go, okay, that's the load that I need to almost respect. You had that loads of times. It was 525. The amount of times I've thought, right, let's whack 5 kilos on, let's whack 2.5 kilos on. I've got off afterwards.
You lose like that set was however many reps.
I'll be on like a 5, 6. No, I'll be like a 7 repper, and I'll go down to 3 reps. I'll be like, I've just lost 4 reps. I've lost over 50% of the reps. I've only gone up 2.5 or 5 kilos. That's a horrendous set, but it's almost pushing that boundary.
Shows you that you're at that level where you need to stay on that load, work it up before pushing on. But
exactly.
I think as well,
my low incline press was similar.
I think this is for people who are quite experienced and already know how to train at a certain level, because for most people, they're not at that level yet. You know, like, we'll have it all the time with clients. They'll come on board, they'll gain what looks like 80 kilos of strength on like a hinge in the first 8 weeks, and they're like, oh my God. It's like, but you haven't gained 80 kilos of strength. You were just training.
You're just working at a higher threshold
at like 20% of where you should have been. Now you're at 90%. And then the progression starts to slow, and they're like, oh mate, what's going on? I'm losing all my progress. It's like, no, you're just actually training hard, and it's not going to come as quick as it did.
They'll go, instead of adding like 20 kilos and going up 2 reps, they'll add like maybe 2.5 kg and gain a rep, and they're like, mate, the progress is slowing down.
Horrendous progress.
It's horrendous. I've had, like, they'll check in, they'll be like, I've had a shit week. And I'll be like, okay, I'll look on their training log, and they've like 5 kilos up, 2 reps up,
just because they've been used to such massive progression.
I'm like, this has been if this was like a week for me, this is a week that I'm putting a story about it and posts about it. Like, this has been the best week.
If we ever get more than a rep up, it's like +2. Like, imagine, especially on like pressing and stuff. Like, if we go heavier, if you maintain, that's great. If you
even that, I don't think I've ever maintained numbers.
Oh yeah, most of the time, if you go heavier, like, we might drop a rep, or like that's, you know, how that sort of pathway for progression works. But for most, like I say, for most people, if you're not at that sort of level yet, get there, because you just go and keep putting weight on every lift until you're at that point. Because that's when you'll start to see, like, if you've not experienced that yet, what we were just saying, then, you know, work to get there, because that's generally what most people need to get to in order to get out of training what they want. The people that I coach and have coached who maybe don't get the results they want, or are struggling to get the results they want, are the people who aren't there yet, because they're either not training hard enough or not training accurately enough, not willing to film their sets to get to the point where they're training accurately enough. That's generally how you're going to get good results, is by being accurate and then getting to that point where progression doesn't just come easy by literally just pushing yourself a bit harder. Like we say jokingly, don't we? Like, oh, I might just try a bit harder today. Like every single session is as much as we've got every time. Like we wouldn't just go, oh, I might try a bit harder and get an extra rep here. Like just not how it works. But for a lot of people, that's their mindset.
I was in the set today and I just wanted that progression. I just wanted it today and it was there. Yeah, mate, you've seen my preparations for a hinge, for an RDO. I'd sit with my hood up listening to like 10 different songs that get me like to the point of like close to tears. And I'd go into the set and I can't even see straight. I can feel my heartbeat in every single like facet of my body. I can literally feel it in my hips, my heartbeat before the set. And I'm like, right, let's go. I'm going in and there's no doubt.
You still just do like a pretend rack pull. It's weird.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I think I might be doubling your hinge at this point. I would be if I didn't get injured.
We don't hinge.
Yeah, no hinge coaching. But yeah, like I said, the mental standpoint, like I look at it and think, like if I was to go into a session now and my sleep was an hour and a half off, or if I forgot to drink,
I've got my pre-workout meal.
Yeah, I just got into the session and was like, oh, Finn, I literally haven't drank any water today. If that had happened, mate, my session, like, there's not a single chance, because I'm like, and I don't want to be like, I'm on the ball every day.
No, but it's true, and that's how you get good results. That's how you get the progress that you get.
Yeah, it's consistent. I can guarantee mine in your life in day to day, but bar your Sunday when you sit in front of the sofa and watch football all day. We don't do anything different.
I'm trying to buy a house. That's all I do on Sundays now.
Yeah, and watch football in the evenings and sit on the sofa. But anyway, we don't do anything different. Like, we eat at the same time of the meals. We will drink water at pretty much the exact same time. I have like a set goal. I was gonna say something offensive. I will leave it out. I always said it. I always said something. I'm quite special in the sense of, like, I'll look at the time and I'm like, right, I know what time I need to finish my first like jug of water for, and it's like little things like that. Like, you have to.
If you can get those kind of habits, like, and train hard, then you're sorted. Right, mate. I'm wrapping it up now.
Yeah, sound cool. I thought that'd be it. Right.
I'll do the outro.
I do the outro every single time, so I'm gonna let you do it this time.
Okay. Thank you to everybody for listening and watching. Any suggestions, any questions, anything you want us to cover, please let us know. We'll probably do more of these. We'll put the questions boxes on Instagram, and please actually ask more questions so we can do these episodes.
Just to me. I only got 3 and I lied about 1.
We'll leave it there. Like, subscribe, share on your stories. Appreciate that. And we'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.